reflecting on being taken by surprise by a student who suddenly, stubbornly would not work on an art project. This was new with the student, and I tried many different approaches to engage her in the way I was used to seeing her work. 3 class periods went by like this, with both of us frustrated, until I was able to learn from her that the glue I'd given her to work with could not be something she could look at, see, be near, or touch. As educators, we're constantly asking our students to move outside of their comfort zone. A bit like standing in front of a group of people presenting this talk. It's not something that comes easily to me, but for sure a stretch and explore. While the Curriculum Slam presentation structure is an interesting format and a challenging one, imagine if on top of that I had to stand in a bucket of worms to give my presentation. Fill in your most uncomfortable sensory image. My primary teaching gig has involved K through 8 students with mild to moderate learning differences. Many of my students have sensory issues. Having said that, for you teachers out there, I'm guessing many of your students have them too. How do you serve that kid that shuts down when certain mediums appear? How do you even have time to determine the cause of the shutdown? When we can't depend on the student to always be able to articulate their needs, we can plan to remove some of those barriers before even presenting our lesson. In describing my thoughts to a colleague, she immediately said, "Oh, universal design for learning." In addition to having that student, it's critical to have that coworker. So what if, instead of a bucket of worms for my presentation, I was surrounded by friendly people, nice faces, good food? Wouldn't you expect I would have more success? As art teachers and teachers, we have some easy options to help support our learners without sacrificing big picture concepts. As an example, I'm going to look at an Art of Ed lesson plan. I have a thing for Mark Rothko, and I enjoy using his work in the classroom. This lesson is easily scaffolded for any of my learners, quick to set up, and always draws out wonderful results. I was preparing quickly one day to accommodate a last-minute class of 6th graders. Anyone else get those? Paper, check. Examples, check. Emotion and color chart, check. Chalk pastels. Oh, that kid is coming. What now? Informal interviews garnered the following responses on students' least favorite material: oil and chalk pastels. They're like so messy, they get all over your fingers and on your clothes for I don't know how long. Ink and paint. I'm like, can I not do that? Pencil on a rough surface. My pencil scratches on this paper, and it makes a really unsatisfactory noise. It sounds like when we have ski boots and it crunches on ice. So backing up, I ask myself, what is my goal in teaching this? And how can I offer alternatives in reaching that goal? Yep, learner outcomes become something more than one more blank to fill in on your lesson plan. It's easy for me to get caught up in making sure I have the needed materials, examples, visual aids, a way to clean up prior to the next class, an alternate activity for early finishers, and lose sight of the end game. In addition to chalk pastels, I offered the following materials, giving a brief demonstration of how each might be used. Water-based markers and oil pastels are readily available in my room. And I added some brushes and water along with baby oil for blending the oil pastels. With this quick tweak of materials, I addressed the more sensitive students along with the students who love the squish and mess. Yes, I know you had those too. Well, obviously, many other mediums would work. I was balancing the ease of use along with user-friendly. What I observed was a very calm and ordered transition into making, each student choosing their preferred materials and diving in. Contentment, engagement, and quiet. The above piece is by a young man who's most comfortable following rules and works hard at understanding expectations for projects. I was pleased to see his free approach and lack of hesitation in putting down colors. This from a mess and squish guy. I so love that he carried things farther, and the use of color here. What is your emotion when you look at that? Again, there was deep student engagement, a fully self-directed project, and lots of joy in the making and sharing. I was pleased to see how much spontaneous sharing occurred between students during this session. This is my effort from the glue-aversive girl. Working with markers, brushes, and water, she happily drew and splashed. After really building up a pool of water, she discovered there were monoprints to be mopped up and worked on some further understanding of both color and medium. Allowing these choices in mediums provided opportunity for many students to go above and beyond without being overwhelmed. I have since experimented with providing paint sticks, monoprinting, and watercolors for the same lesson plan. Once the connection to UDL was made, I dug deeper and have been excited by the ideas it generated. A quote from author Liz Byron in a recent interview: "It's critical for art teachers to know about UDL because it's a framework for creating access for all students and approaching variability with an open mindset, because the barriers in our classroom, they're not in the students. They're in the curriculum and in your environment, and it's a mind shift implementing UDL, because you can't look at the student and say, well, they're not identifying as an artist. They just can't draw. They're not interested in art. The barriers are in what we're doing in our environment. As teachers, we're key factors in how we design our instruction. If these ideas are of interest to you, I strongly recommend Ms. Byron's book. CAS.org published her work and is where you find more general UDL information. As I further reflect on just one variation I implemented with such gratifying results, I plan for the following in the future: adding alternate media ideas and alternate means ideas to my lesson plans as a prompt to anticipate needs. I will add my expanded thinking when planning supply orders. I am already asking better questions of my reluctant artists and being a better listener. I look forward to removing the barriers to their art making, and I thank you for listening.